Hey everyone, welcome back. It's another edition of the Pick 6 presented by Sleep Number. I'm Mike Wobschall inside TCO Performance Center. Thank you for submitting your questions. We got some good ones. Let's answer them. Question number 1 comes from Justin. Do you think Mike Zimmer will start Mike Hughes in week 1? If not, when do you believe he will start his first game? Well, I think a week 1 start for Mr. Hughes is unlikely because Xavier Rhodes and Trey Waynes are holding it down on the outside. So a start for Mike Hughes would likely come on the inside, but there we have Mac Alexander and Terrence Newman, among others. So the bad news for Mike Hughes is he may not be a week 1 starter as a rookie, but the good news for the Vikings is we have awesome depth at cornerback. Question number 2 comes from Rick. Is Zim on the verge of developing a new defensive scheme with 4 cornerbacks? No, I don't think so. Teams have used 4 corners before. In fact, a lot of teams call it the dime defense. I think this is just more of a twist that Mike Zimmer is thinking about using, and you can think about doing stuff like that when you have a bunch of talent and a bunch of depth in the secondary, which the Vikings have on top of the cornerbacks we mentioned in question and answer number 1. Remember, the Vikings have some awesome safeties, including the best one in the NFL, Harrison Smith. Question number 3 comes from Mark in Cedar Falls. We know Zimmer is great. What do you feel are his in-game coaching strengths? Well, I think you have a lot to choose from, but I'm going to highlight 2 of them. Number 1, tactical adjustments on the sideline. I don't know if there's a better defensive coach in the NFL at adjusting to what offenses are doing on the fly than Mike Zimmer. Number 2, his instincts and play calling on third downs. The Vikings had a historically good third down defense last season. Big credit to Coach Zimmer for that. The next question comes from Kai in Northfield, Minnesota. What do you think about the chemistry between Kirk Cousins and the Vikings receivers and running backs? Well, I'm optimistic about it for 2 reasons. Number 1, all of those guys were here for all of the offseason program, and I think that's a big purpose behind the OTAs and the mini camps that teams have in the offseason to develop that chemistry and synergy. Number 2, the Vikings, Adam Thielen, Kyle Rudolph, Stephon Diggs, Latavius Murray, they are used to developing a rapport quickly with a quarterback. They've done so the last 3 to 4 years, including with Sam Bradford 2 years ago and Case Keenum last season, so they're not going to have any trouble developing a rapport with a full offseason with new quarterback Kirk Cousins. The next question comes from Chris. In your expert opinion, do you see that Mike Remmers' skill set plus last year's tape show him more suited as a guard or tackle? Well, Chris, I appreciate the compliment. I am not an expert when it comes to this, but I like what I've seen from Mike Remmers at both spots the last couple of seasons. Now, most of his experience is as a tackle, but his ability to adapt and adjust and kick inside to play guard gives the Vikings some flexibility when it comes to other players and trying to find the 5 best guys. Either way you shake it, Mike Remmers is in the best 5. And the final question comes from Anthony. How do I get tickets to go to training camp? It's easy, Anthony. Go to Vikings.com/tickets. Starting on Monday, June 25th, general admission tickets are available to be reserved. They're free. Parking is $10. Remember, you got to reserve them ahead of time. You can't show up day of without a ticket. So reserve your tickets ahead of time at Vikings.com/tickets. And remember, it's a digital ticketing. So if you don't have the Vikings app, you got to get it if you want to get in to Vikings training camp. That's it for this week's edition of the Pick 6. We'll be back next week with another edition as long as you send me enough questions. So do it to the email address at the bottom of the screen, and we'll see you next week.